How long does it take for your bot lane to implode? In this game, I knew the going would get tough, so would the tough get going? Knowing my Morgana support would keep the bot side of the map on lockdown,
Why the fuck you lying?
I started Raptors and invaded Skarner's top side. After getting vision of red buff, I queued over to Krugs and dished out some toxicity. Because Skarner smited the big Krug, he does not have smite for red buff. But my auspicious start was balanced out by Solo Q's famous tradition, someone dying level 1 in the bot lane, and the surviving member pinging their intentional feeding. Music to SHACO's ears. Once more into the fray, dear SHACO, and that fray was the mid lane. Fizz engages and I pick up a huge kill, not just monetarily for myself, but emotionally for my support. I do my Krugs, red buff, and go for the top crab, knowing that if Morgana is on my screen, the Nexus automatically explodes. I caution pinged the bot crab in case it wasn't clear enough my bot lane was weak siding. Because Skarner is definitely bot side, my best play is to kill the enemy top laner. So I queue over into the tri-brush to avoid potential river vision, and recall immediately so I can use my Q again sooner. As I wait for Zehen to shove the wave, the Korean Civil War had officially begun. Dumb and Dumber were on the end of a Fizz double kill, the enemy mid laner I killed 30 seconds ago, and Kai'Sa declared war. Back-to-back messages with the latter ending in a question mark, there is no scarier side. Hoping Morgana would issue a ceasefire, I hold my Q to dodge Aurelia's E, and top lane should be over. The keyword being should. I was anticipating Skarner being on my level 4 Raptors, so I took his level 4 Krugs, which apparently instilled my mid laner with enough confidence to run into the enemy jungle and die soon after. It felt like I was fighting against the forces of the universe, but I knew Skarner was the weakest of them all, and we got his flash. I did blue buff and exhaled. Solitude for a SHACO player does not come about often, but Morgana put an end to that momentary peace. And what follows a death in the bot lane? A question mark pinged by the Lone Ranger. It is like clockwork at this point. I did Gromp and can only guess that Kai'Sa's longer message reflected her deepening resentment towards the no-skin Morgana support and a rejection of Morgana's ceasefire offering. I was happy to see that my support was still capable of buying a control ward, so I kept toiling away. I queued towards the Aurelia knowing she would dash in for the cannon minion, and surely this would be the end for top lane. Well, it was, but not for Aurelia. I'm not sure what's more worrying, having this Morgana support, or Zehen having less CS than the Aurelia without TP who we have already killed twice. The Bramblevest purchase confirmed my suspicions that my top lane had no intention of helping me win this game. Because I just showed top lane, Skarner might invade my bot camps, so I recall to meet my maker. I then do Krugs and move towards my wolf camp. Invading Skarner's top side is on my mind, but the level 6 Fizz with priority is a big threat, as is my Zehen. That Bramblevest really came in handy. You can see how composed I am by this quick zoom on Zehen's corpse. I make sure Aurelia is not greeting her recall, and then miss out on smiting the cannon. But I am comforted by the fact that I will gain or lose the same LP as my teammates at the end of this. Skarner ganks mid and Galio has to recall. This might mean I don't have my mid laner to help me, but I look at it differently. Galio is now in a safe position and cannot feed. I chunk the Skarner who escapes with his tail between his legs, and then take red buff. With Skarner off the map, we can capitalize by 3v2ing in the top lane, but my Galio decided to farm some ranged minions instead of moving towards this numbers advantage. Maybe he saw Zehen's Bramblevest and made an unbreakable vow to himself never to wander too close. I do grubs, and despite Kai'Sa perishing in the bot lane, Fizz knew what I was going through. He generously donated his life, but something even more valuable, hope. But my version of hope is much like Red's in the Shawshank Redemption. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. Thankfully, I already am insane. I play SHACO. I stand on my box baiting Aurelia to jump in, but this kill did more bad than good. I am wondering how this player is winning top lane committing such acts of treason. I run out of base with my Cyclo Sword while Morgana buys a front row seat to the Skarner taking Dragon show, but at least she got Skarner's ultimate. What happens next though, viewer discretion is advised. Despite picking Morgana specifically to Black Shield the Elise Cocoon, she runs straight into it, to which Kai'Sa question marks, and what follows is incredibly unlucky. I queue in and tank the Skarner engage, the Fizz ultimate, just to trade 1 for 3. My next big decision is how to go about dealing with this bot lane. After much deliberation, I ping the Morgana once, and report her for an offensive name. I have no idea what her summoner name is, but this is to let her know that SHACO is now watching her every move, including this rogue deviation to the top lane. The 0-4 Morgana nearing a Bramblevest Zehen, what could possibly go wrong? Well, having the advantage of 7 cooldowns against 4 wasn't enough, so I had to come to their rescue. SHACO the Savior took down the Aurelia, but on the other side of the war zone, my Kai'Sa was basically AFK, so I had to come up with something else. Killing the Aurelia on her way back to lane is a macro maneuver not many would see, but it has to be done. Hopefully killing her 5 times in 12 minutes is now enough for Zehen to win the lane, but I have no faith, not even for Zehen to get this tower on his own, so I give him a helping hand. I really just want the goal for myself, but he doesn't know this. My faith in Zehen's 1v1 ability was showcased moments later when I once again killed the Aurelia. All of this was clearly worth it, because look at Zehen's massive CS lead. I then made my way to Gromp only to be swiftly reminded that Morgana is still playing.
We may fall today, but still we persist.
My Galio then decides to waste his ultimate on a 0-5 support, evidencing that I am indeed fighting against the inevitability of doom. Such doom was looming over this respawning dragon, so I have to be active top side of the map. I run out of base expecting Morgana to black shield the Fizz ultimate, but this micro is far too complex. As I make my way towards the inspired Zehen, he dies before I can get there. I try to avenge my fallen comrade, but Aurelia clearly has experience playing against crafty SHACO players who push their clone away from them, and she chose me. This 1-for-1 isn't bad, but we now lose Rift Herald, Dragon, and Kai'Sa also died mid. A rectangular box suddenly appeared on my screen with two options, yes and no. I wonder who could have done this. Without any resentment towards my bot lane, I ran out of base towards the Rift Herald the enemy Skarner decided not to take. Not sure why not, but he is the same elo as Morgana, until we caught out the enemy elites, and this led to 3 more kills. I Q around the hotspot of the fight to avoid the enemy spells, and R after my second Halo Blades attack on Yanara. Yanara dies, Skarner dies, and eventually Fizz dies. During all of that, my Zehen 1v1 the Aurelia, something that should be annually celebrated. I farm a few camps to then spend my gold, and after securing my blue buff, I am reminded as to why I love champ designs from the last few years. Skarner Eagz for 0.1 seconds to stun me for 10.1 seconds, and I have to queue away to survive such interactive gameplay. It would have been nice to have a black shield, but my Morgana is playing the hard engaged version of her champion. I eventually farm up to my Infinity Edge, but Galio could not wait that long. Instead of playing around the champion with 64.7% of the team's kills, he forgot that he bought Merc Treads and not Steel Caps, and tried to outduel the Aurelia. Galio's moronic endeavor now meant Baron was under threat, but I genuinely have no idea what the Skarner was doing. Instead of forcing a winning fight, the enemy team just kept farming waves, so I took down Aurelia side laning next to the purple worm. We delayed long enough until the next spawning of Dragon. I queued over this wall, but again expected too much of Morgana, pressing E on her keyboard as I stealth in is too demanding of a task. The fight wasn't looking bad until I lost all my health to one Yanara auto attack, and we lost the fight 2 for 4, as well as the Dragon. But it's not over until SHACO says so. Anticipating Yanara to farm this midwave, I lurk in the shadows and get a kill, while my team try to end the game. My defiance is at an all-time high. I don't want the Skarner to get any LP, nor do I want the scum on my team to escape this early. I recall to start building Lord Dominic's Regards because the enemy team has a lot of armor, and I will still one-shot the Yanara. I do all I can in this subsequent fight, but what can SHACO do against such reckless hate? Thankfully, Aurelia tries to Aurel King down the mid lane, but this shutdown is more tilting than it is rewarding. How does this Aurelia go from that early laning phase to being worth shutdown? A question I don't want to find the answer to. As I pick up the top wave for my LDR, Zehen runs into 4 enemies with Baron up, and Galio could not tell that this was a bad fight, so ulted in.
What the fuck was that?
I recall for LDR, and knowing we can never win a Baron fight, I target the split pushing Aurelia. After being almost one-shot by our champion building bruiser items, I run back to base trying to compose myself, and my team should have done the same. While fighting off FF votes, we managed to take down Aurelia and Yanara in this fight near Dragon, as I two-shot the Fizz shortly after. SHACO and Kai'Sa against Skarner and Elise, we could do this. Stealing Dragon would be difficult without Smite, but what makes it even more difficult is when your 2-item AD carry runs behind the 4-item SHACO, so you get Elise cocooned. Despite this hardship, I kept my cool. I was 16-3, but did my teammates know this? The enemy Aurelia had so much confidence that she decided to buy a Magi's and then Aurel King'd for real. 3 teammates died, but there was some fresh fish in the mid lane. I killed the Trident wielder only for the enemy team to instantly respond. All hope was now lost as I joined the dark side.
It was said that you would destroy this and not join them.
We mounted a final defense that was to no avail as I misclicked ever so slightly so I could not backstab the Yanara, but at least I put the 0-15 Morgana out of her misery. Speaking of misery, who would cause me the most in this game? The no-skin Amumu, or my Talon boasting perhaps the most cringe name of all time? Amumu's level 2 is just as cringe, so I don't invade and just clear my red buff quadrant. Because I have an Ignite set in the top lane, I don't want him to leave the game if he gets level 3 ganked, so I move towards my top camps. Anticipating Set's impending doom, I caution ping, and I cannot believe what I am witnessing. A teammate listening to my pings. After Wolves, I notice my hero fighting Aurelia and my pathing is rewarded with the freest kill of all time. But what has experience taught me? The top lane is never over. I stay grounded and ping the bot side of the map because Amumu will likely respond with a gank of his own. As I finish Gromp, invisibility pings his mana. I finish blue buff as my support randomly dies in my Raptor brush, meaning that I am for sure losing my level 4 Raptors and my brain. But having an Instinct support is part of the locking in SHACO package, so I make my way over to Amumu's Raptors instead, but the green cube suddenly appears. Knowing I don't have prio mid, I need to be careful and evacuate towards the top side. I prepare myself in the tri-brush thinking Amumu will want to gank top lane, but he doesn't. This allows me to 2v1 the Aurelia on the wave pushing towards us, and could this be it? I just hope my set doesn't buy a Bramble Vest. After running out of base, I do Gromp, as my karma continues my support's tradition of being dead for longer than they are alive. Because of this, Amumu Amumu capitalizes, taking the dragon, but he didn't take my raptors earlier, so I knew I was dealing with a novice in the jungle. I pivoted back to the top crab only for invisibility to divert my attention. A most welcome assist followed that encouraged me to take Amumu's raptors. Thinking that my nemesis was bot side of the map, I ran towards the isolated Aurelia. I was a little worried my set could not solo kill, but without his ultimate he might have a case for the defense, but this, there is no defense. Even if this is good against Aurelia, it's just a sign that you need to go out and touch grass. I quickly panned my camera towards mid lane. Invisibility was visibly dead, but Amumu was retreating back to his topside jungle on 1 HP. Time to make him cry real tears. I queue over to red buff and give the mummy a deserved grey screen. What was he doing? I do Krugs and Set starts fighting Aurelia. To recall or not to recall? I recall because I want to believe that my top laner can win a 1v1 after being strong-sided for the entire early game, and my Set is so confident he deliberately misses his E, W, but he has a bramble vest, so he wins. I run out bot side, wanting to clear my bot camps towards top side. I caution ping Amumu's bot camps, and Amumu pops his little head out. I now have free reign over top side of the map, so clear raptors into grubs. After taking the crab, I venture into Amumu's raptors, taking them before moving towards the alone Aurelia. I don't box too early because I will give her a free Q and potential escape, but I should use my ultimate so I can send the clone in to do the dirty work. Unfortunately Set dies, but Aurelia misses the wave and is still Giga behind. I try to farm the next wave, but Kennen puts me in my place. But if there is one lesson to take away from this video, it is this: never ping a SHACO player. My 0-3 Karma question mark pings my corpse, and I am struggling to hold back the demon inside the Jester. I kept SHACO at bay, farming a few of my camps before returning to Amumu's raptors and the Aurelia. This time our dive was clean, we both survived, and I was wondering if Karma would ping again. I took Amumu's Krugs and red buff, and then picked up the free mid wave. Bot lane was still fighting, so I continued my tour of the Rift. Why stop now? And what a lucrative tour it was. I picked off the Kai'Sa and donated Amumu to invisibility. I capitalized on the dead square by taking his blue buff, before farming my bot camps with the intention of playing for the upcoming Rift Herald. As I ran out of the tri-brush, my Set killed Aurelia without using his ultimate.
You had to dig deep. Give us your thoughts. Surprise, surprise, motherfucker! The king is back!
And Caitlyn killed the support Swain. What a difference a game makes. But someone has to be the villain. I decided to overstay and do red buff instead of recalling for Rift Herald, leaving me on almost 3,000 gold for a potential fight. But it does not matter. Aurelia was still trying to regain consciousness from the laning phase, but I did make note of invisibility Wing the air. Because Rift Herald is not going anywhere, I wanted to stop the enemy bot lane and Amumu from achieving their goals bot side. Caitlyn picked off Kai'Sa as I chased the 3 levels down Amumu. What a freak. Invisibility redeemed himself with a quick and clean combo as we killed the Swain shortly after. This momentum propelled us to a securing of the dragon and Rift Herald. But this game was far from over. People know that if you kill a SHACO once it might tilt them into oblivion, and they are right, so I had to remain focused. I joined my teammates in the mid lane to secure the outer tier tower, before showing off some footwork to bag a juicy triple kill. Are you watching, Karma? But I wasn't done. I dropped the Rift Herald to secure the tier 2 tower, before exiting via Amumu's blue buff. I recalled for a Chad purchase of 2 large rods, as I watched in awe at invisibility taking down the enemy Kai'Sa. Was this all a dream? I did the top crab and marched into the enemy topside jungle to pressure Baron. Invisibility's fine form continued, picking off the intentionally feeding Amumu as I held down the fort in the jungle. A fight ensued that saw us pick up 3 kills and lose only Set, but a Caitlyn player has to get caught at some point. For all his questionable behavior, Amumu caught out the Caitlyn, but thankfully the enemy team could not extract much value from it. Our team of misfits was able to rendezvous with the next dragon, securing it before seeking control of the Baron area. I don't even know what this Amumu was doing, and Swain was clearly jealous of his teammates' ability to get caught and followed suit. This allowed us to take Baron and pressure the enemy base with our empowered minions. The more progress we made, the more tense the battlefield became, and this culminated in a Kai'Sa engage outside the enemy's fortress. Because of Caitlyn's apt spacing, I had no choice but to go down, but if you're going to go down, you go down fighting. My little jack-in-the-boxes put in work, as did my clone's explosion, but Caitlyn was still clicking back from the 1 HP enemy champions. She eventually gained the courage to move into the enemy base and push for the win as my Set TP'd, signaling his intention to end this fiesta, only for Caitlyn to recall.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
I had no choice but to report her for some Amumu level ignominy, but invisibility and Set were undisturbed, finishing off a game that was as anticlimactic as the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. Like the video, follow the page, don'tbeshi.com.